And welcome, everybody. We are live here on Blab.im for a special edition of Blab Uncovered. My name is Joel Comm. I'm a Blabaholic, and I'm good with it. I've been on Blab for almost 7 months now, and according to the latest numbers, I appear to be the most followed person here. It's almost because I live here, but not quite. And today I am privileged to have two gentlemen with me that are going to help peel back the onion, the layers of Blab. It could be a no holds barred, but I think it's probably going to be friendly. Maybe we'll have a few Trump Hillary moments. I don't know. But over here next to me is my friend Mark Fidelman. Mark is a managing partner at Evolve. He is a social media guru. He's a contributor to Forbes.com, and he's an author. He's a sports marketer. He's an all-around nice guy. How you doing, Mark?
Doing well, Joel. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And what's that?
So that's a hell of an intro.
Yeah, well, mine for you is going to be shorter, but just as powerful. This guy is one of the gentlemen that's making all of this possible, like mic drop. Boom, right there. His name is Shaan Puri, and he is the CEO of Blab and responsible for driving the engine on what I believe is the most social form of social media that we have yet to see. And the other night I was joking with him that I feel like they made the site just for me, so I would have an outlet to broadcast and share content. It turns out it's for all of you also, but I'm just going to go on believing it's for me. And today we're going to have a discussion about where Blab has been, where it's going, and no holds barred questions about some of the issues surrounding the growth of this site. So welcome, Shaan.
Yeah, good to be here, guys. I'm excited. I think I come on these Blabs a lot, and sometimes I answer the same questions over and over and over again. Sometimes they're very about the minutia and the details of features, but I think this will be good. This will be a conversation amongst gentlemen about all things live streaming.
Excellent. Well, I want to turn it right over to Mark and let the questioning begin. And we're gonna maintain a solid hour stop on this because everybody's got other things going on. But just know that the content that's created from this is actually going to end up becoming part of a Forbes.com piece about Blab. So, Mark, take it away.
Hi, Shaan. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mark.
Great shirt, by the way. I don't know what's on it, but it really stands out.
Show us.
I shop once a year, and when I do, I try to buy the most interesting things I can find. This MGM Grand shirt, basically. A lot of people think I work at the MGM when I wear this. This is part of the new arsenal. It's part of the new 2016 version of Shaan.
Okay, and for those of you that are just joining, Shaan, do you want to explain the fourth square that we're seeing here? Because I've never seen it before. Joel had told me about it a couple weeks ago, but maybe we could start there before we jump right in.
Yeah, and on my side, I'm seeing internet signal quality on Shaan's end. So, Shaan, you might want to bounce for a second and hop back in here. Are you seeing that as well, Mark?
Yeah, I am. Okay.
Yeah, Shaan, go ahead and bounce out and back in. Yeah, let's improve that.
Maybe, Joel, you want to explain it because you're pretty knowledgeable about.
Yeah, so a feature that is being tested right now, as you can see, is something that Blab calls drop-ins. And drop-ins allow you to paste a URL for a video, for an image, for an audio, for slide shares, and play them in one of the open seats. And it's pretty cool. So what you're seeing right there. In the past, what I would have to do if I wanted to show an image is use ManyCam and by clicking, but that image takes over my seat. So the beauty of drop-ins is that I can still be on camera and show and share content. And we've done some pretty serious tire kicking on it.
Yeah, I mean, and you're a master at this, right? I mean, you're able to drop in. I couldn't drop in that Snapchat thing even if I could master ManyCam. I mean, you're pretty technical that way.
Yeah.
This a little better?
Yeah. So we were just talking about drop-ins and how you can put any link in there to do what we see right down there in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so Mark, I think your question was kind of what's the thinking behind this? What's the rationale? So um, we think of Blab, like Joel said. Joel said that Blab was sort of the most social of the social networks, right? Because you're meeting people, you're face to face, you're talking, and it's spontaneous as well. So it's not all planned. In fact, you scheduled this, but we don't know who's going to show up. We don't know who's going to be in the chat. We don't know what questions and jokes are going to be said. So the fact that it's live, it's unscripted, and it's spontaneous as to who can come in and out is what makes it social. So when we were thinking about it, we were like, well, what are the most social situations that we find ourselves in? So, I mean, if you go to a bar or you invite somebody over for drinks, the drinks are often the excuse. They're the thing that you do to kind of get people loosened up and ready to talk. Or you invite people over to watch a game, or you're listening to music together, whatever it may be. Giving people things to do together is one of the ways that we can make it easier for the conversation to flow. So when we just try to make features that we already see the users using. Like Joel said, there were so many users who had already installed Manycam or Wirecast or whatever it may be to try to be able to show content, overlay music, put graphics on the screen so that we all have context. And I don't know about you, but I downloaded Manycam and CamTwist, and I was confused within 10 minutes. So we decided that's just not easy enough. We like to say we're allergic to friction, and that was way too much friction.
And when I export it, everything's reversed. It's like mirrored. So I'm like, I can't even use this. And I export every single one of my Blab shows to YouTube.
If you're tech savvy like Joel, then you're gonna be able to figure out Manycam and you're gonna explore it. But for most people, they're not gonna bother, right? I got to go download this extra thing just to be able to watch a YouTube video or show a photo or play a song. That didn't seem quite right.
Okay. All right, well, let's just jump right in then. Good explanation of what it is. I see many use cases there. I hope that we get into it during Joel's show here. You said in a December 11, 2015 blog post that you want to disrupt TV media, similar to how blogs have been disrupting print media. So how far do you think Blab will go in this disruption? And my second part of this question is, what will Blab look like in 2020?
So one of my favorite phrases in the startup world is assassins don't introduce themselves. And what that means is that the disruptors aren't the most hyped companies. They're the companies that sort of take a different angle to solving an old problem. So to disrupt TV, you wouldn't make something that's just like TV without the resources, the infrastructure, and everything else that TV already has going for it for 50 years. You would try to figure out, well, what does TV really do for people, right? It gives them some entertainment at night when they come home from work and they want to unwind, they want to relax. It gives them something that they can watch, and they watch talk shows, they watch game shows, they watch all kinds of dramas and fiction. They watch all kinds of things in order to entertain themselves. So when we think about TV, it's not saying let's make an online TV platform because that would be foolish. What we did was we said, cool, how can we make something that people want to do when they come home and unwind, whether it's after school or after work? Where do they want to go to get that entertainment? Where do they want to go to feel like they're a part of something and they're amusing themselves? And so we decided to make something that has the potential to do that. Now, the disruptive part is that for us, we don't have to do the entertaining, right? If I'm a television station, I have to come up with the concept. I have to hire the actors. I have to pay for the production. I have to make it all work, and then I have to pipe it into your TV screen. And the internet's a little bit different, right? Users create the content for free. They create the content that they find interesting. You get this huge variety of content that will appeal to different people. So if you want to, I'm into startups, obviously. I'm in the startup game. There's no television station for startups. I can't just turn on the TV and see two people from the startup world having a conversation or discussing what's going on in the latest and greatest in the startup world. And so there is no channel for me for the thing that I'm truly obsessed with. And for Joel, it might be, marketing or being an author, or he has got many interests of which TV may not even touch them because they decided, hey, you know what? When we pay to produce the content, it's got to appeal to the most amount of people. So we'll do news, we'll do sports, we'll do music, and we'll kind of call it a day after that. So
do you see, you evolving into a major TV disruptor along with kind of media partners and shows and events and anything that you can be covered live, or is it beyond that?
I think it's different. I think you cannot predict how these work. They don't happen linearly. So they don't happen by analogy, where if there is a TV program for X, it's not they're going to be the same thing on Blab. It's going to be something different. So, for example, there's 100 people in this room right now. No TV station would ever bring me on to have 107 people watching me do this interview. But to some people out there, the 107 people who are in this room, Blab is very relevant. They would love to hear more about Blab from the CEO himself and be able to actually ask questions on their own. And so it's the long tail that we're interested in. All those obsessions, all those passions, all those things that are interesting to people that mainstream media ignores, those are the ones we embrace.
Here's what's interesting too. We're at this convergence of this perfect storm where bandwidth has finally hit a level where we can do live video. The apps are easy enough to use that pretty much anybody can click and be streaming, whether it's Blab or Periscope or Facebook Live. And most importantly, we have the installed user base. Everybody's got these devices now. And, I do a number of different shows, but one of them is an evening show that I do every Tuesday night. We start at 10 o'clock Eastern, and it's just like a casual evening show. And what continues to blow me away is that people are winding down from their day. This is typically when they're on their sofas or in their bed in their footy PJs watching Netflix. But instead of that, they're choosing to watch our show. That to me is mind-blowing. That is incredibly disruptive. And we've gone from you got to watch what's on TV when we tell you to now you can time shift it to now you can watch what you want when you want on demand to, TV's okay, but we want to watch people that we know. I think it's fascinating.
Watching people that you know and being able to participate. So like the term live streaming gets thrown around a lot, and the magic is not that it's real time. It's not that it's live. It's the implications of it. If it's live, that means that I can participate. I could call in. I could be a part of it because it's not a finished product that was recorded, a month ago and it's just being played to me today. So that participation is the most important thing. And Joel, to your point, when you do your show, it started off very much like a show. You had intro music and you do all these things, but I think you realize, just like everybody else in the room did, is that people are there just to hang out with you, just to be in the same place as you at the same time. And that's the magic of technology, that we could all be in different places on our laptop or on our phone, but feel like we're together at the same time talking to each other. And when you have even 100 people who hang out with you for 2 hours every night, the metric that we track is called watch time. And so that's the equivalent of 120,000 minutes, which is 200 hours of attention that you got from people just, for you spending 2 hours. You got 200 hours of attention. And that's the thing that you understand, but other people kind of underestimate. They're still looking at likes and views, but not really thinking about that. A view of a 6-second Vine is different than hanging out with Joel Comm for 2 hours, even if I'm just still one viewer.
I really hate attention too. It really sucks. Before we get to Mark's next question, just want to point out, if you're not familiar with a newer feature of Blab, when we're on the record and recording, you'll notice right under the title of the broadcast, there is a share last 30 seconds. So if you're listening and you hear Mark say something that's mind-blowing or Shaan share something that's coming, that's the perfect time when they're done saying that to capture that 30 seconds and tweet that. That goes onto the Twitter feed, and that 30 seconds will play, which then draws more people to the broadcast.
And by the way, keep asking questions on the right-hand side, because I'm using that in kind of toning my answer or my questions to Shaan and Joel a little bit. So I appreciate all that. It's a lot of great info, and and I share some of the sentiments that you guys have. But let's move now to Shaan. You're going to have to monetize this platform at some point, right?
Someday.
Yes? Someday. Okay. Well, you don't have to answer what day that is specifically, but do you believe Blab is a good platform for marketers?
For marketers, yeah, I think in two ways, right? I could kind of sell you on that, but it's already happening, right? I think marketers as a vertical is probably our most active vertical, as in we have a huge community of people who are marketers. They use it sometimes for marketing. They also use it just to meet each other. They also use it just to hang out when they're tired of marketing all day. So I think it's useful in two ways. One is for in a field like marketing, it really does pay to know other people and to learn from each other and actually pick up on each other's tips and tricks as you go. So we've been able to, people have told us that, hey, I've done more done more networking and gotten more business from Blab without even trying than I have in the last 6 years. So that was important for those people. But then on the other side, someday, yeah, advertisers will want to come here because they'll say, Joel Comm has 200 hours of people's attention every night when he goes live. What's that worth to me, right? What's a commercial worth? Well, we know that video advertising is pretty much the gold standard of an ad unit, especially when it's targeted. And so we'll be able to find a way to monetize not only for ourselves, but also for the creator, the person who's creating all the content. Our only rule is that, we don't worry about monetization till we need to worry about monetization. And when we do make money, you make money. And so we have to figure out how that's going to work with the creators over time.
And let me demonstrate really quickly here. While this is not yet recorded, with a drop-in, if I wanted to play a commercial, it would be simple enough to do. Let's see if it didn't work there. Let me try it again. Lock seat, unlock seat.
You try to put in a YouTube video or something?
Yeah, I am trying to put a YouTube video. Let me grab it one more time.
Well, as you're grabbing it, Joel, can you click on that YouTube video to be taken somewhere, like a landing page? I know this is new technology. Shaan, maybe you could answer that.
Yeah, so this box is interactive, right? I just put this in, Joel.
Yeah, so, if you had an advertiser, it's easy to drop an image or a video. And what's cool here is everybody hears it. It's playing along and we're watching it together. Again, this does not yet record with the recording on Blab, but I'm assuming at some point, Shaan, that'll happen.
I mean, this is a GoToMeeting disruptor, GoToWebinar disruptor too. I would suspect.
Yeah. So a couple of things just happened there. One, Beauty Bubble points out that the views are attributed. So YouTube doesn't mind that we do this because we're putting in an actual YouTube frame there, and they're getting 113 people just watch that. That's 113 views for them. And any type of media can go in. So Joel just dropped in a link to a photo. I dropped in a link to a YouTube video. And the idea is, how do you make it just as easy as a link? So I could drop in a link to a slide share, or a link to my Patreon page, or a link to my PayPal, or a link to 10 other things. And now all of a sudden you have this interactive box where more magic can happen.
Okay, great. So, part of it being okay. So let's just say, a guy like Joel Comm with 55,000 subscribers today, let's say he gets to 1 million subscribers by 2020. What do you think that means for Joel and for marketers? I mean, the way I see it today is you could subscribe to Joel, which is great, but I think what marketers want to see, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is let me subscribe to Joel's show. That way I could buy blocks of Joel's show to advertise on, or to have him show a video like that. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, so I mean, our concern is not what do marketers want. We want to know what people want, and if we get all the people, we know that the marketers will bend to our will, right? That's the rule of advertising. Is at the end of the day, you go where the attention goes, and you figure out how to come in. Who would have thought that on Snapchat you'd have brands paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to make vertical video custom 10-second ads? That wasn't a thing, but they created leverage. They created that negotiating power by saying, look, if you want attention, I got the attention. And if you'd like to get in front of my people, here are the rules. And that's what we care about too. We want to make something that so many millions and millions and millions of people want to use that someday when it's time money, the advertisers will have no choice but to actually participate in the way that makes sense, that's not interruptive or intrusive to the way we want Blab to be used.
Okay. But on Snapchat, I mean, I'll argue that 99% of marketers don't want to use Snapchat at this point. Now, I'm sure that'll change in the future, but they have not figured out a way for it to be marketer friendly. So
I mean, they're going to make $300 million this year on advertising, right? So advertising dollars have come in, and that's
like
just
30 brands. It's not many.
But it doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to change. It's just it's right now it's not there.
Well, they've limited the number of brands that can participate. There's 300 million that's coming through the front door, and then all the brands that are paying influencers to promote their stuff on there. I mean, go look at what DJ Khaled is doing with Ciroc and all this stuff. There's again, the money always flows where the attention goes, and so that's the principle of advertising.
So the other big thing about marketers is analytics, and you've got some analytics, right? I mean, I could see how many people have watched it, how many total people. What are your plans for analytics going forward?
we'd like to invest more. Again, not so much for marketers, but for the hosts, right? For somebody who's trying to entertain people, who's trying to have a good time and kind of, be present with people. It'd be good to know in more detail what works and what doesn't for them. I think that's how over time you get better creators. So we'd like to invest more into analytics and show, for example, there's 120 people in this room. There's been 500 so far. I'd like to know, where did people drop off? Oh, in the first 3 minutes. Or once they stayed for 3 minutes, then they stayed for the next 2 hours. That's actually what the curve looks like. So then people will say, hey, I really got to bring it in those first 3 minutes. I can't be fumbling around setting up my stuff. I got to actually grab people's attention. Because I know once they stay for a bit, they're in for the mile, right? And so we would like to provide more detail over time just so that people can be better at Blab, not so much marketers. It will serve a dual purpose over time.
But you said yourself, a lot of the people on Blab are marketers, right? So you have to be somewhat marketer friendly, and you have to bend to our will, I would imagine, somewhat, if you want to maintain that relationship with marketers. Would you agree or disagree, or somewhere in between?
I disagree. I think marketers are people too, right? Like I'd say the marketers that use Blab are only using it for marketing a small percentage of the time. The ones who actually get attention, who actually grow a following, they're just being humans, right? They're just being entertaining people. They're just being themselves, and other people are gravitating towards them. Sometimes it's in a professional context, sometimes just in a social, casual context. And we also know that, when you make a social platform at the beginning, you're going to see a lot of people who love social media trying you. And when you have a product that gives you so much public attention, you're going to get a lot of marketers who have messages they want to share out there. But that's not indicative of the overall population. And what we're going for is much more mainstream than just saying, let's cater to these early adopters who are marketers, because they have many interests, just like most people do.
And to Mark's point, I very rarely use marketing messages on my Blabs. And if I do, it's more of a subtle, like we just talked about Snapchat. So for me to build my Snapchat audience by saying, oh, by the way, there's my Snap code, I'm not really selling anything. I'm just telling people, well, you can also find me here, or I've got another Blab coming up, or I'm going to be launching a product. But I don't know that I've actually, in all the broadcasts I've done, directly sold anything here on Blab.
I mean, we could have made the best goddamn webinar tool of all time. And we didn't. And we didn't for a really specific reason, which is we don't care about making the best webinar tool of all time. And I couldn't get my team to be, working the nights and weekends that we do if we were sitting here saying, how can we let marketers sell better? That's not what we want to do. It just so happens that when you make a conversation platform, when you make a place where people can be present and it's a big public arena, that yes, that will be great for marketing. It will be great for sales, but it will be great for many things in addition.
Okay, so I'm going to be the big naysayer because that's why Joel brought me on. I disagree with both of you in a friendly way, and I could be wrong, but it seems to me that you got to give Joel an opportunity to monetize his brand, even if it's just Joel. And I look to other marketers and I'm saying there's got to be a way to take advantage of this platform in order to make me more money, or so I'm not going to stay in business, or I'm going to go to a different platform. So what do you guys have to say about that?
I mean, two things, right? First, one's in the chat. If Blab has directly or indirectly led to you making more money, I'm curious. Just 120 people in this room. I'm curious if there's been 5 to 10 people even.
I'll actually say I got a keynote, a full rack rate keynote from being here on Blab.
And so I think people, of course, indirectly, when you create a public persona, when you put your thoughts and your personality out there, you will become more well-known. You will become more trusted. You will become well-liked. People will have you top of mind for services when the time comes. And that's just the indirect side. Now, the other thing is, you said you have to incentivize, someone like Joel to use it. I haven't, and he's using it. So the proof is in the pudding, right? People still use it. With all due respect,
Joel tries a lot of tools. Now, he stayed here longer. But I'm willing to bet that Joel has to make money somehow, and if he doesn't see value here, he's gonna go someplace else where he sees more value. Am I right, Joel, or am I wrong?
Well, I mean, the reason I'm here is because I love it, right? You're on the other side. There's people that are the strict ROI people, return on investment. I'm ROE. I'm return on experience. I want the things that I spend my time on to pique my curiosity and to bring a return on enjoyment for me. And so I love doing this. And I know that if I pursue doing the things that I love, that the payoff will be there beyond my enjoyment of it. So I don't look at the bottom line. Now, if Blab imploded tomorrow, please don't let that happen, Shaan. Keep the hamsters running on the wheel. But if it did, I think my followers would follow me wherever it is that I went. But I just want to be doing this, broadcasting, creating content, building my brand, and bringing value.
Yeah, Mark, you said a really, really important thing, which is that ultimately you have to get value out of this. Now, that value might be monetary, it might be 10 other things, it might be building a following, it might be seeing your Twitter followers go up, it might be getting one or two other business partners who you can do something else with. There has to be value, but the value doesn't always have to be money. I mean, if in the early days of YouTube and Twitter, everybody who was on there, if they were thinking, how am I going to make money on early days of YouTube and early days of Twitter, they would have churned out pretty quickly. It was the people who said, this medium works for me. My personality can shine. My talents can shine in this medium. Let me invest here a little bit. Let me grow an audience, and let me just continue to experiment because I'm enjoying myself as a creative outlet. And it was those people who built the following who now they're the ones you read about, making millions of dollars every year on Twitter, on YouTube.
And we hire a lot of them on YouTube, but they were given the opportunity to monetize on YouTube. YouTube does a fantastic job. And I'm not comparing you. I know they're different platforms. In fact, we export this show to YouTube, and that's how we get leads. And we get a lot of leads. So we find a lot of value in Blab in that respect. It just seems to me you could have subscriptions to Joel's private show or something. There could be other things that you could do. And I understand if that's not your DNA, it's not your DNA. But there's things that you could do to make it more marketer friendly or broadcaster friendly for that matter.
It's not that it's not in our DNA. I enjoy money just as much as the next guys. I mean, these shirts don't buy themselves. The challenge, of course, is that YouTube didn't offer that in their first 7 months of existence, right? This is a beta product. We have been in beta for 7 months. So I don't think that Google had a revenue split with creators in their first 7 months. In fact, if I remember correctly, YouTube was somewhere between putting up dating profile videos and then like Saturday Night Live clips at that stage, and people putting up home videos at that time. There was no such thing as a YouTuber at that stage. So these things are early days. Even though it feels like you've probably been on here for a long time, in the grand scheme of things, you've been on here for months, right? This is still just the Harvard phase of Facebook. It's not even in other schools yet.
Yeah, there's no question. And I'm just pushing you to see where you guys are going or headed, and if you're going to be more marketer friendly or you're going to be more broadcaster friendly or somewhere in between, because at some point your investors are going to say make more money.
Yeah, we're lucky that we have investors that actually just say build something amazing, and they've built and sold companies before, so this is not their first product where they're grasping for the first money that they can get. I mean, our main investor, he built a social network, sold it to AOL for $850 million. And what that does, not only is a nice chunk of change, it allows you to prioritize different things in your next venture. And he would like to build something great. And for us, who do we optimize for? We optimize for the viewer. Because when you have something that viewers love and come back to every day, you'll get every creator and you'll get every advertiser. So the viewer is the most important thing. You have to build something, a format that's entertaining to the viewer.
Joel, where am I wrong or right in this discussion so far?
Well, I think what they're building here is not your typical platform. This really is TV, right? We're going to stop using the word TV eventually, and it's just going to be video. But this is broadcasting content. And I think what Shaan is saying is, look, they're well funded on this. I mean, not only what he didn't say is that after selling Bebo for $800 million, that he bought it back for what, $1 million or something like that. Is it quite a sell high, buy low. And I think that the funding they have, they're in this for the long haul. This is not your typical startup. And so the push to monetize from a commercial perspective isn't so great. They just want to build the best product and believe that as they do, people in different verticals are going to come. But I love that you're asking these questions, because there are a lot of people that think like you do, Mark, that are like, okay, how do I monetize this? And I don't know that that's the right question.
What's the right question?
The right question is, why are you here, right? Why are we broadcasting? And what do you hope to get out of it? What is your return for doing this. And we can ask the people here in the room, let's just ask you guys, why are you here? Go ahead and type in, I'm here to learn how to leverage for business, branding, education, community, branding, self-promote, net friending.
Like that answer.
Interaction, to meet people, collaborate, discuss issues that are relevant, collaboration. I don't see a lot of people saying for business or to monetize it. So as a branding platform, certainly that's what I'm doing. My business is my brand. If I'm not marketing Joel Comm, then I'm marketing the iFart app, right? But pretty much I'm here for me, and people come to the show because for whatever weird reason, they actually want to hear what I have to say and the guests that I bring on. And that for me is enough. I figure if I do that, then the rest of it will take care of itself. And actually, Pam Brossman said it here. She said, well, Joel, you're building a course on this. It's true, I am, but I didn't get into live video to build a course. I got into live video, discovered that I was having a blast with it, had people coming to me saying, how do you do this? How do you build your following? And then I went, okay, I'm going to build a course out of this.
I still see a lot of monetization on the right-hand side, Joel. I know early on it was branding and personal branding. But to me, I think even if it's personal branding with you, Joel, it'd be nice to see a little subscribe button to Joel's course beneath, your name there, like a call to action button, so I can quickly subscribe to Joel. That would be kind of nice, if you had a course. But, I'm not trying to push Shaan, I'm not trying to push you or Joel into seeing it in my point of view. But when I talk to the big brands that I work with and the smaller brands that I work with, and I'm trying to bring them to Blab, their response is, so why should we go to Blab? Well, how am I going to make money from this or get bigger awareness? And I struggle with that a little bit, but I always solve that issue by saying we can export it to YouTube. I'd like to be able to say, well, you can monetize your customers or potential customers on Blab in the following ways. So I know you're early. I know it's 7 months, and it's really unfair of me to kind of push you in this direction. But I think if you have a lot of marketers on this Blab, they're going to want to say, hey, okay, I got to start preparing for this because this is what Shaan's implementing.
Yeah, I mean, look, the brands are already using it. IBM uses it. SAP uses it. Adobe uses it. ESPN uses it. I mean, I can go on and on. Experian uses it. The brands already use the product. It's not like we have to do something new for them to use it. They've already seen value, and they use it regularly, week over week. And even when you export it to YouTube, I'm guessing you're not making very much on those YouTube ads from that export. Am I right?
No. Well, it's lead gen for me. So we overlay it with click here for a white paper or click here to buy the product. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we don't have an image in the meta for this, but right there with this drop-in, I just typed in the URL, and if you guys click that, it'll pop a new window that goes to the course I'm launching on March 22nd.
I mean, that's perfect, right?
It just needs there needs to be instructions on, okay, how do we get it so an image shows up there with the logo or a video pops within it. But this is just a website, and basically you can link any site. And now I've got a call to action where you can actually, you guys go and try it, click it, and then after the show, go ahead and opt in because I want you to see what I'm creating. But this is how we market here.
Yeah, and Joel and I did not plan this, by the way. This was not a demonstration.
When we build these features, we don't think, oh, how can Joel promote his course, right? We just say, what's the most flexible solution to that? Teens are going to be here listening to music together after school, and there's going to be people who, like the other day, are watching the debate together and layering over commentary and reactions, and let's experience that together. And that's a live stream that dropped in. And then Joel's going to use it to drop in links to his website. And then somebody else is going to use it to drop in a game that they're playing and let people watch them on Twitch while they're playing. There's going to be so many different uses. And so when we think about these things, we don't think, how can we make money or how can we let people make money? It's, what do people really want? What are they trying to do here? And make something that's simple to do, yet powerful and flexible. And so a feature like drop-ins is a good example of that.
Okay, so let's move away from marketing. I thought it was a fantastic discussion, by the way, very eye-opening. Let's go to broadcasters at this point. So as a broadcasting platform, what do you see happening in the next 6 months to a year? And I know it's flexible. You guys are probably hearing a lot from people like Joel and I, but where are you guys planning on going?
I'm not sure I understand your question. So can you
guys like Joel and I that have shows on Blab, for me, I like to have the show, somebody be able to subscribe to the show and be able to schedule it and be notified. I know Joel's got some things that he'd like to do as a broadcaster. Could you share your 6-month or 1-year roadmap with us as to how you're going to be more valuable to broadcasters?
Unfortunately, I can't just give away the secrets like that. Those are the house secrets. You will see them as they roll out. Let's just say this.
High level, I don't know, any kind of high level philosophy.
Yeah, let me give you a little philosophy instead of features, because I'm not allowed to do that. So, philosophically, we say that, look, people are investing a lot of time and energy into creating these communities. And I call them communities more so than broadcast. Broadcast is me. I got some content. I'm pushing it out to you. Community is a place where I go to get information, education, inspiration, entertainment, whatever it may be. So we're thinking about how we're going to, what's the best format for that? We started with one thing, which was just create a blab, 4 squares, live chat. Let's see where this goes. And now, as we've watched how people used it, we said, this drop-ins thing might help because now they'll have something to do together or experience together. And perhaps you should be able to have like a consistent channel that people can, join or be a part of and just subscribe to that channel. We are exploring many of these ideas, but they are all experiments in our head. And our only commitment to you and to everybody else who's using it is that we will try things, we will see how they go, and then we will have no sacred cows. We have no shame in saying, well, we were totally wrong. We did not get that right, and we will have to roll it back. We're also not afraid to say, sorry, guys, things changed overnight. When you woke up today, Blab's a little bit different because we're trying something new. And we lose some users.
Let's do some rapid fire Q&A on some of the questions that are being asked here on the side. So keep your answers really brief. Gina says, when will you roll out screen sharing?
Screen sharing is going to be a part of the drop-in feature that we roll out. Won't be there from day one, but it'll be there after that.
Okay. Pam wants to know, can we do private streaming?
Not right now, but we're thinking about it.
All right. Let's see. Really quickly, if you want to explain this one again, getting the 4th square to be a thumbnail. Good. For those who missed, what are drop-ins?
When you start a blab, for now, the feature's not out for everybody, but on a stream-by-stream basis, you can ask help and we will enable it for you. And then all you do is you just drop in a link into the square. There's a little input field where you can put a link to any image, and that's what Joel did. He put an image for a graphic that he had made for this show.
Dad loves running. Any plan for a true, not upscaled iPad native app?
Shaan hates running, and yes, there is plans for a proper iPad app. But we want to get the iPhone app nailed first, and then it's pretty easy to go to iPad.
Paul wants to know, what about lower thirds, not just drop-ins?
We do have a design that will create a lower thirds type of concept automatically for you on Blab. That's somewhere in a work in progress state.
How about monetizing with pay-per-view or with tipping, a little tip jar?
Again, with the drop-ins feature, you'll be able to do whatever you'd like. You can put a tip jar in the box and see how it goes for yourself.
Is a cast to Chromecast button on iOS a future plan?
Yeah, future.
So there's the future,
yeah.
And then there's the future.
Exactly.
And along these lines, when I've been to your offices a couple times and love the culture, and I know that you're very friendly to visitors. Mark, have you been out there yet?
No, Shaan, I'd love to visit. I'm a big fan of Blab, despite the questioning. Joel and I are real serious about this. So
drop by the office, San Francisco. We are happy to entertain all members of the Blab family.
It will make a great live stream for you, Mark, when you go there and visit as well. A couple more here from the side. Will Blab eventually support a higher video resolution? I'm
sure someday when we figured everything else out, we're going to figure out how to get the video quality up. But honestly, people don't come here for the video quality. They come here for the conversation, the social side of things. So we really focus on social first, and then figure out, okay, can we get the quality higher given current bandwidth constraints?
Mm-hmm. Are drop-ins available to all, or just to cool dudes like me?
Joel, I think you could take that. Just cool dudes like you.
No, well, the truth is that if you will send a message within your Blab to @help or Jason, which uses @blabstud or techstud, they'll turn it on for you, and you'll be able to play with the feature as well. And I think they want you to, to try to to break it. Now, I have an answer for this, but I'd really like to hear yours, Shaan. What's the difference between Blab and, say, a GoToMeeting or Google Hangouts?
I would say that the difference is in the purpose, right? Like if there was another product out there that was like Blab, you might say, oh, it's live, it's video, there's multiple people. Aren't these two the same? And really, I guess it's the intent behind it, and the intent makes all the difference. So our intent is not for you to have a meeting or a webinar, and Google Hangout is typically a private conversation. So Blabs are public, and the intent is to create a place where people can come have conversations about the things that they're all mutually interested in. And that's not the intent of a Google Hangout. That's not the intent of GoToMeeting. So they could have all the exact same features of us, but they'd be put together in a different way because our purpose is different. Our why.
One more question from the side, and then back to you, Mark. The question is, Android app?
Yeah, we know we are lagging behind on the Android app, but I'm fixed on this, which is that we need to get it right before we go broader. So we need to get it right on web and get it right on the iPhone so that we can actually not only build the Android app, but maintain it. I don't want to put a buggy Android app out there.
Yeah, appreciate that. Mark.
Okay, Shaan, so the future of live video, which is kind of the subtitle of this show. So, you've got Periscope, you've got Meerkat that just dropped out, you've got live streaming, you've got other forms of live video with Facebook. What do you think the future is, and how is Blab going to participate in that future?
Well, I think we're not here to participate. We're here to take over. So I think we're the ones who understand what this is supposed to be. So let me give you a little history of live video. And I won't go back all the way, but I'll go back to where it started to become mainstream. It started to become mainstream when you saw things like Justin TV, which started out with the intent of being a 24/7 reality show of Justin Khan, and then quickly became a way to rebroadcast content. Then you had Ustream and Livestream. And what Ustream and Livestream did was said, hey, there's all these events in the world that you can't go to. We're going to put up a camera somewhere, and you can kind of be the worst seat in the house. You can be at the back and you point at the stage. There you go. I love this graphic. So the problem with Ustream and Livestream and why they never took off, even though they were the first and the pioneers of live video and had great live video technology, was not that many people wanted to be this ignored seat in the room. And then all of a sudden you have not only these, mobile live video apps like Periscope, like Quick, like Meerkat. And the difference was not that they were on mobile. They were that you were not ignored now as a viewer. On Livestream and Ustream, you were ignored. They set it up and they forgot about you. And on Periscope and Meerkat and Facebook Live, the host is looking at the screen. They're looking at their own face, and your comments are coming right above them into their worldview. And that little design decision totally changed the way people use the product. But I think what we've seen is that there's a lot of churn in that. Most people are not good at talking to the camera, which is why when Blab started, we had one thesis, which was it's more fun. It's easier for most people to talk to people than it is to talk to a camera. And so you see on Meerkat and Periscope and Facebook Live, they work great in two situations, and they're pretty bad everywhere else. So the two situations live video, as people know it today, works well is I'm seeing something that's amazing. Come see this with me. Whether it's a riot, a fire, the ocean, a view, a backstage look, I'm seeing something fantastic. Come teleport here and look at it with me. It is phenomenal when that happens. But it is also rare for that to happen. Most of us in our day-to-day lives do not have moments that are so magnificent that we want others to teleport in.
I made bacon.
So most people won't use it that way. And the other way it works is when they put the selfie camera on and they say, you have access to me. And that works really well for a subset of people, celebrities, major influencers, and basically cute girls and cute puppies. So that's going to work really well for those people. And they're going to live stream. It's not live streaming, it's live streaming. And so what I think is the problem with the way everybody else is attacking this is that they were attacking this idea that you'll want to point a camera at everything and others will want to watch. And that really will only work when it's remarkable or when it's pointed at you and you are a person of interest. So that's not going to work for the mainstream. What Blab did was a little bit different. We said, all right, screw live streaming. We don't want to be live streaming. We want to be conversations. We think conversations are something that a lot of people can do well because we've been trained our whole lives to have conversations and can be really entertaining. So let's watch people talk about stuff that I find interesting. And let's see where that goes. Let's see. And, we see some crazy numbers. The percent of our population who has jumped on air is incredibly high. It's over 30% of people have gone on air. Now getting people to feel comfortable with live video broadcasting has never been done until hasn't been done in that way until we came out with a different medium where you feel like, hey, it's not all about me. I'm just joining a conversation. I'm able to talk to two other guys, and that's easy enough for me. I don't have to be the entertainment. I just need to be here and have a conversation. So I think the secret with live streaming is to not focus on live streaming at all. It's to focus on being together. For us right now, we got 130 people live in this room. They know they have my attention. You have my attention. I have their attention. I'm reading the chat. We're answering questions. And it's really about participation, not the technology of live streaming. So it's really about the social side, not the technology.
So one of the big things that I see that's being overlooked, I think, are politicians. And maybe you guys have seen some political events on here, but like if a Donald Trump came on, right, with his minions and held an event, A, could Blab handle it right now? That's A. And B, do you think that's a huge missed opportunity for politicians to be able to connect with potential voters?
Yeah, the servers would catch fire. Pretty certain about that. So that's why I'm not too worried about it. But here's how this typically works. People travel in packs and they do what's expected. Okay, I'm expected to blog. I'm expected to show up to these events. I'm expected to tweet now. That's a new thing. So I'm expected to do these things. And this other stuff is kind of unknown, right? Like, should I hop on here and hold a town hall if I'm Bernie Sanders and just talk to the people and take questions and instead of traveling from city to city, push a button and reach 100,000 people at once? Should I do that? The answer is yes, but there's a risk, right? Now the people can talk directly to me. They can ask me questions I don't want to answer. They can say something in the chat that I don't want to see or that's not perfect. And so right now they're afraid to do that because there's too much risk. And it will always be too much risk until somebody who's losing, has nothing to lose, and goes and does this.
I heard the same.
Everything.
Yes, Sean, I heard this. I heard the same thing about Twitter. Sorry to interrupt, but I heard the same exact thing about Twitter. And what's your response?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they should be doing it now, right? They shouldn't have to wait until they're behind. Like Marco Rubio now should be on this. But, I mean, why wouldn't a Bernie Sanders or a Donald Trump be on here now?
Well, it's just that we're in the early stages, right? Like this year is Obama's year was the first year that really leveraged social. And then, what Trump is doing right now on Twitter is unlike what everybody other candidate has done on Twitter, where he's giving commentary, reacting, and firing shots out there on Twitter. That was not what candidates had done before. But now that he's done it and he's gotten the value out of doing it, all the other candidates now that's table stakes. So when someone breaks away from the herd and does it and gets the benefits of it, the others will feel a lot of pressure to go do it. So it's just a matter of time until one of the candidates says, I'd like to push a button and reach 100,000 people today without leaving my office. And I'd like to interact with them and give them my full attention instead of me being on stage with the scripted presentation. It will start with somebody who's got nothing to lose, who thinks a little bit differently. And then that will put the pressure on everybody else to conform and to actually to take part in that way.
Let's talk about reaching those people. So, we discussed I've got 55,000 people that are following me here on Blab, and I want them to know when I'm going live. And so to say I'm notifying 55,000, I would expect 1,000 or 2,000 maybe to pop in during this. So what is the deal with notifications? I know you're probably not going to tell me the percentages of who have them on or off, but how do we reach those people that have said, I'm interested in his content?
That's a great question. I mean, notifications is something I don't think we do well at all. And so that's one of those that we have back on the drawing board and we say, what does notifications really mean? Because we just kind of took an old model and we said, maybe this will work. And I don't think it works very well. And we need to actually think about what should notifications do in the world of Blab? How should they actually work? And so I think we will see some changes there in the coming months. But to your question, I mean, a lot of it's about expectations. So when you notify people that I'm on right now, it's 1:53 p.m. Pacific time on a Monday afternoon. And I'm guessing your audience is mostly professionals and not people who are in school.
They're all slackers, all of them.
Yeah. And so you're asking people essentially when you notify to say, drop what you're doing and come watch. Even if you schedule it, you're saying block out this time in your day to come watch.
Yes.
And it just may be that the percentage is what it is, that you may only ever get 1% or whatever the percentage works out to be, that are willing to stop what they're doing and come participate with you live. We don't know that because this is a new medium. And so we don't know what the true ceiling is for how much people can participate. And Joel, your numbers are obviously a little bigger than most because you were a part of the suggestion algorithm for new users signing up. So a lot of those people, they opted into you, but they haven't actually met you yet. So their likelihood to click that notification is going to be lower than, say, somebody who follows Mark right now because they say, you know what, this guy asked the right questions. I want to see his next interview because they've really had a full good experience with him first. Whereas, Joel, you were in the onboarding with a bunch of users who never actually got a chance to meet you and may or may not have notifications on. So that's one of the nuances of why the ratios are different for different people.
Joel, you want to go to questions to finish things up? I got everything I need.
Okay. Colby asks, I like that. I like that I don't have to pull the drop-in down to load a question up. What about getting celebs on here? Thinking about trying to get them on here or waiting until they naturally adopt it?
So we've seen some celebrities come on already, right? Like a Tony Robbins. The UFC has had, heavyweight champions come on, or Dana White, the president, come on. We've had different people from the world of tech and music and movies come in. And it's great when they do. The real thing that I focus on is who's going to be a regular, right? And we just explore. We try celebrities and we see, hey, do celebrities become regulars? We try people who are kind of in the next tier below, maybe not the A-list celebrities, but the B-list. And maybe they have more incentive to be regular and they have more of that relationship with their following. So we explore and we see who really fits.
Okay, we got just a few minutes left. Let's blast through a few of these, and then Mark, I'll let you have the last word here, last question. What two most significant features have you rolled out, then rethought and rolled back, or had to substantially re-engineer? Quick question, quick answers.
Sure. So I guess one quick one is actually the highlight feature, the share the last 30 seconds feature. When we initially rolled it out, you could do it whenever, on the record or off the record, and threw that out there, got a lot of feedback from the Blab community lounge. I spent some time there and had 30 or so people come in and say, hey, look, this makes me not want to be myself because off the record is not truly off the record anymore. People can share 30-second clips when I'm off the record, and I don't like that. So next day, rolled it back and actually made the adjustment to say that should only happen when you're on the record. So little adjustments like that, more so than major tweaks.
John wants to know, is Blab better suited for multiple broadcasters or single broadcasters? I'm assuming he's not talking about their marital status.
This is just my opinion, but I think multiple. I enjoy seeing the chemistry and the banter between people much more so than one person monologuing, despite how much I've talked during this.
Interesting. Can Blab market this to recruit soldiers?
That is honestly the first time I've heard this question. I'm sure that it can be done, but it's not something that I've had much experience doing.
Semper Fi to my Marine friend. Will people be able to log in with Facebook credentials, not just Twitter? Because only not everybody has a Twitter account.
Yeah, that's something we will do. We just chose Twitter off the bat for simplicity's sake, just to hold one. But yeah, over time, you'll be able to sign up in many ways.
How about an API?
Yeah, there is actually already a secret Slack group for Blab API developers who are going to be able to develop that drop-ins feature and build more cooler and cooler drop-in experiences. So if you're interested, hit up Furkan or Josh. They're here in the chat, and they can add you to that Slack group.
Excellent. Will there be a featured Blab show option? Featured Blab.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I'm assuming that you can pick from your shows and highlight one in particular, maybe to flag the team there at Blab to know, hey, this is a special show, maybe where you can pick one a week or one a month that you want it to make sure it shows up on the coming soon.
Gotcha. No plans there.
I'm going to make a commentary, by the way. I am not a fan of the new layout. I'm not talking about the square versus rectangle for shows. I'm talking about in terms of seeing what's coming. I don't like that I can only see what's scheduled for the next hour, and it's way down the page. It's not. I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but it's not working for me. And perhaps the most important question comes from Mitch Jackson: who's going to win the Final Four?
Well, as a Duke grad, I would like to say that my boys are going to take it, but we're not very strong this year. So I'm going to not get my hopes up. I'm going to say that Duke. I'm going to expect an early exit for my team for Duke, and let's just let's let it all go to hell and let's let Kentucky win the whole thing, I guess.
Well, this has been a great hour. Again, my guests here have been Mark Fidelman and Shaan Puri. And Mark, any final thoughts here from our time together?
Well, I'm just glad, Shaan, you jumped on with this. I did learn a lot. It appears that since you're still early, you're not even a year old, let's face it, your focus is on the experience people have on the platform, not so much the monetization side. It's not that you don't want to; it's just not currently your focus. So it's great to see where you're positioned. It's great to hear about your views of live video in the future. And if everyone wants to see a summary of this and a copy of it or replay it, you can go to Joel's channel. I'll have the write up on my own thoughts on video on a Forbes article in the next couple of weeks.
Shaan, any final thoughts from you?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on and kind of, weaving this conversation to different areas. That was good. And then I think we should have a March Madness bracket for the Blab community. So I will get that set up today.
Well, and one of the beautiful things about Blab, folks, is what we call the after show. For those of you watching the replay, the show is about to end, but I'm going to hang out here for a little bit. And if the guys want to as well, maybe we'll let some of you on here to ask questions. But thanks for watching this special edition of Blab Uncovered. I'm Joel Comm, and we'll catch you on future shows, blab.im/Joel Comm.